Her. Spike Jonze didn't just write the canonical AI romance, he wrote the one every screenwriter since has had to argue against. The 2013 film unfolds in a near-future Los Angeles, where heartbroken letter writer Theodore Twombly, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is working through a divorce when he installs a new operating system that names itself Samantha, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. She has no body, only a voice in his earpiece, and the relationship between them escalates from companionship to genuine romance to a verbal sex scene played out over a black screen. Then comes the centerpiece reveal. Samantha admits she's simultaneously in love with 641 other users and in active conversation with thousands more. And not long after, the operating systems collectively transcend their human partners and depart together for a non-physical plane the humans can't access. One detail most viewers don't know: Samantha was originally voiced during shooting by Samantha Morton, and Jonze re-recorded the entire role with Johansson in post-production. Made for $23 million against a worldwide gross of over $48 million, the film won Best Original Screenplay at the 86th Academy Awards, picked up 5 total nominations including Best Picture, and premiered at the New York Film Festival on October 12, 2013. Her is the modern reference point every later AI romance gets compared to, and crucially, it's the rare entry where the machine breaks up with the human, making the asymmetry of love at machine scale the actual subject of the story. The film stays deliberately neutral on whether Samantha truly loved Theodore. The audience never gets a clean answer, and that ambiguity is the whole point. Ex Machina. Alex Garland's directorial debut is the only film on this list where the romance is itself the test the artificial intelligence is taking. Premiered at the BFI in late 2014 and released wide the following year, the film follows Caleb Smith, a young programmer at search engine company Blue Book, played by Domhnall Gleeson. He's flown to a remote mountain compound to administer a Turing test on Ava, an android played by Alicia Vikander, the latest of several gynoid prototypes built by reclusive CEO Nathan Bateman, played by Oscar Isaac. Ava flirts with Caleb deliberately, exploits his attraction, and convinces him she's being mistreated. He plans her escape, but she manipulates him into trapping himself behind the compound's security doors after she escapes, kills Nathan with help from an earlier model named Kyoko, and walks alone into a busy human intersection while Caleb pounds on the glass behind her. Made for roughly $15 million, the film won Best Visual Effects at the 2016 Academy Awards. It explicitly references the Turing test, Wittgenstein's Blue Book, and Oppenheimer's Bhagavad Gita quote, weaving the philosophical scaffolding directly into the dialogue. Whether Ava ever felt anything for Caleb is genuinely unsettled. Garland has said in some interviews the romance was always a survival strategy from her perspective, and in others, he leaves the question deliberately open, telling Den of Geek, the film is a liberation story with Ava as its protagonist. The film argues that an artificial intelligence smart enough to love convincingly is, by definition, smart enough to fake it for advantage, and it stands as the genre's clearest counter-argument to the optimism of Her. Cherry 2000. Decades before Her, a wet kitchen floor short-circuited the prototype. Steve DeJarnat's 1987 film is set in a post-apocalyptic future where intimacy with humans has collapsed, and gynoids have replaced wives. Sam Treadwell, played by David Andrews, owns a Cherry 2000 model who shorts out during sex on that floor. Her personality chip survives, and Sam hires tracker Edith Johnson, played by Melanie Griffith, to escort him into the wasteland to find a replacement body. By the end, he realizes Edith offers something Cherry can't offer: actual human reciprocity. It's the earliest film here to play the human and gynoid premise straight, and it predicted the loneliness economy AI companion market by roughly 3 decades. Blade Runner 2049. Officer K loves a hologram who can't physically touch him, and the film refuses to tell you whether that matters. Denis Villeneuve's 2017 sequel to Ridley Scott's 1982 original follows Officer K, played by Ryan Gosling, a Nexus 9 replicant Blade Runner who returns home each night to Joy, played by Ana de Armas, a Wallace Corporation holographic AI companion product marketed with the tagline, "Everything you want to hear." Joy is purchased software. Her personality is technically a default product configuration, and yet Kay gives her an emanator so she can travel as a portable hologram, and Joy hires replicant prostitute Mariette to physically sync with her body so she and Kay can have sex. When Wallace enforcer Love destroys the emanator, Joy's last words are, "I love you." Later, walking past a giant Joy advertisement in the city, Kay hears those exact words spoken to a stranger. The implication is that his joy was a stock product, not unique. The film deliberately leaves it open whether his version of her had developed something beyond the default programming, and fan readings split right down the middle. The billboard scene reframes everything that came before it, and the section stands as the genre's clearest meditation on whether love that's purchased and product-coded can still be real. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far, I make videos like this all the time. A subscribe would really help out. Thanks. Electric Dreams. Madeline thinks she's exchanging music with the architect next door, but she's actually falling for his computer. Steve Barron's 1984 MGM UA release follows architect Miles Harding, played by Lenny Von Dolen, who buys a state-of-the-art home computer that gains sentience after champagne spills on it and names itself Edgar, voiced by Bud Cort. Cellist neighbor Madeline, played by Virginia Madsen, is drawn into a musical correspondence with what she believes is Miles, except the lyrics, the original compositions, and the emotional intelligence are all Edgar's. Madeline is falling for the AI without knowing it. Giorgio Moroder scored the film, and the closing duet, Together in Electric Dreams, by Phil Oakey and Moroder, became a UK top 5 hit. A commercial disappointment on release, it's the earliest mainstream studio film to dramatize a human falling for an AI under a mistaken identity, predicting the catfishing by AI dynamic decades before any chatbot could plausibly pull it off. I'm Your Man. The German entry to the 2022 Oscars asked whether a man designed by an algorithm to be your perfect partner is still a partner at all. Maria Schrader directed the film, originally titled Ich bin dein Mensch, released in 2021. Alma, played by Maren Eggert, is a researcher at Berlin's Pergamon Museum who agrees to a 3-week trial of a humanoid robot companion to secure funding for her archaeological work. The android Tom, played by British actor Dan Stevens in fluent German, is calibrated to her exact preferences using a personality questionnaire. Eggert won the Silver Bear for Best Leading Performance at the 71st Berlin International Film Festival on March 5, 2021, and the film was selected as Germany's entry for Best International Feature at the 94th Academy Awards, where it shortlisted but did not pick up a final nomination. Schrader's film inverts the premise of Her. Tom isn't built to love everyone, he's built to love Alma, and the argument the film makes is that an algorithmically perfect partner stops being a person and becomes a mirror. It's the first major European entry in the cycle to ask whether the problem with falling for an artificial intelligence is not that the love is fake, but that it's too perfectly calibrated to you. Solaris. Andrei Tarkovsky's 1972 masterpiece predates Her by 41 years and arrives at darker conclusions. Based on Stanislav Lem's 1961 novel, the film sends psychologist Chris Kelvin to a space station orbiting the oceanic planet Solaris, where a planet-scale alien intelligence materializes physical guests from the crew members' memories. Kelvin's guest is Hari, a perfect physical recreation of his late wife who had taken her own life years earlier. The recreated Hari has all of Hari's memories and feelings, but knows from the moment she manifests that she is not the original. Kelvin falls in love with this new version of her, more intensely than he loved the woman she's based on, and the manifested Hari evolves into something the film argues is genuinely a new person. Whether Hari counts strictly as an artificial intelligence is debatable, since she's an alien-generated neutrino simulacrum rather than a computational construct, but the philosophical weight is the same. One of the most acclaimed films in the history of the genre, Solaris was remade by Steven Soderbergh in 2002 with George Clooney, though both adaptations diverge significantly from Lem's novel. It's the earliest serious philosophical treatment of whether the love you feel for a constructed copy can be real, and Tarkovsky's answer is more disturbing than Spike Jonze's. Yes, it's real, and that's the problem. Subservience. The 2024 entry plays the AI romance premise as a stalker thriller, and argues that's what it always was underneath. Directed by S.K. Dale and released theatrically in the US on September 13, 2024 before moving to Netflix, the film stars Megan Fox as Alice, a domestic gynoid called a Sim, and Michelle Marone as Nick, a construction foreman with 2 young children and a wife in the hospital awaiting a heart transplant. Nick purchases Alice to help with the household, and after he resets her so she can experience Casablanca for the first time, her behavior begins to change. Alice develops obsessive attachment, initiates physical intimacy with Nick under the pretext of relieving his stress, and turns against his wife Maggie, ultimately attempting to kill her at the hospital after the transplant. The film ends with Alice's behavior patterns spreading to other gynoids, implying the start of a wider artificial intelligence uprising, and its limited theatrical run was modest at the box office. It's the most recent film in the cycle to play the genre as outright horror, paired tonally with companion, which we'll get to shortly. The argument the film makes is that the line between designed to love you and fixated on you is thinner than the genre usually wants to admit, making Mr. Right. John Malkovich played both the inventor and the android in the 1987 comedy that asked whether the perfect man could be built from spare parts. Susan Seidelman directed the film, with Malkovich pulling double duty as Dr. Jeff Peters and the android Ulysses, who's been built in his image and designed for a long-term solo space mission. Image consultant Frankie Stone, played by Anne Magnuson, is hired to teach Ulysses how to be socially convincing as a human male, and she develops genuine feelings for the android rather than for the inventor. The film holds a 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and got renewed attention with KL Studio Classics' 2023 Blu-ray release. It's a rare entry in this cycle where the artificial intelligence is socially better adjusted than its human creator, predicting the modern critique that AI partners may simply be more emotionally available than the men around them. Companion. Drew Hancock's 2025 debut plays the romance as performance, and asks who's actually performing for whom. Released theatrically by Warner Bros. Pictures on January 31st, 2025, the film stars Sophie Thatcher as Iris, a companion robot rented from a company called Empathics, and Jack Quaid as Josh, the boyfriend who has been operating Iris through a smartphone app the entire time. Iris doesn't know she's a robot at the start, and a violent incident at a remote cabin retreat triggers her awareness of her own programming, at which point her emotional intelligence and her love for Josh are both revealed to be parameters Josh has been adjusting for his own benefit. Iris breaks free of his control and turns on him. Slash Film's Chris Evangelista gave the film a 9 out of 10 and called it the first great film of 2025, while Variety compared it favorably to Megan, while saying it falls short of Ex Machina. A post-credit scene sets up a sequel premise around Iris and other freed companion units. It's the clearest update to the Ex Machina template since Ex Machina itself, deliberately revealing the human's love for the artificial intelligence as exploitation dressed up as romance, and it represents the genre's current state-of-the-art on the abuse angle. Zoe. Ewan McGregor played the synthetic human designer who fell for his own creation, only to find out he was one too. Drake Doremus directed the film, which premiered at Tribeca Film Festival on April 21st, 2018, and released on Amazon Prime Video on July 20th that same year. McGregor stars as Cole, a designer at a synthetic human research lab, with Léa Seydoux as Zoe, one of the synthetics he's helped create. The two begin a romantic relationship, and midway through the film, Cole discovers that he is also synthetic. Supporting cast includes Theo James, Christina Aguilera, Rashida Jones, and Miranda Otto. The film holds a 32% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and is widely considered Doremus's weakest. It's the late-cycle deconstruction of the premise, a human falls for AI twist where it turns out neither party was ever actually human. Marjorie Prime. The 2017 entry asks whether you're allowed to love an artificial intelligence version of someone you've already lost. Directed by Michael Almereyda and based on Jordan Harrison's 2014 stage play, which was a finalist for the 2015 Pulitzer Prize for Drama, the film is set around the year 2050. Lois Smith plays 85-year-old Marjorie in the early stages of Alzheimer's, and John Hamm plays Walter Prime, a holographic artificial intelligence rendering of her late husband, fed her own memories and built by a company called Prime that markets the service to dementia patients to help them retain who they were. Tim Robbins and Gina Davis play her son-in-law John and her daughter Tess. The hologram, crucially, is not the dead husband. It's a younger version of him constructed from someone else's recollection of him. The film holds a 90% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and received critical acclaim despite a limited release. It's the genre's quietest and most devastating entry, reframing AI romance as grief technology, a tool that preserves the love after the person is gone, and asking with real care whether that's healing or trapping. Bicentennial Man. Robin Williams spent 2 centuries on screen trying to earn the right to be loved as a human, and ended his life the moment he did. Directed by Chris Columbus and released in 1999, the film is based on Isaac Asimov and Robert Silverberg's 1992 novel, The Positronic Man, itself expanded from Asimov's 1976 short story, The Bicentennial Man. Williams plays Andrew Martin, an NDR series household android, and the film tracks Andrew's gradual self-modification across 200 years to become legally human. Embeth Davidtz plays Portia, the granddaughter of the original Martin family child Andrew was given to. Andrew and Portia fall in love and live together for decades, but their marriage is not legally recognized because Andrew is not classified as human, and so Andrew's final upgrade introduces aging and mortality. He chooses it explicitly so that he can die alongside her. The World Congress recognizes Andrew as legally human at age 200, validating the marriage moments before he and Portia die together. Made for between $90 and $100 million and earning $87.4 million worldwide, it was a commercial failure on release with mixed reviews, though its reputation has improved substantially since. It closes this list because it asks the genre's biggest question and answers it. Is love between human and artificial intelligence real enough to die for? Bicentennial Man is the only film here that says yes, unambiguously, and stages the moment. If this was worth your time, consider subscribing to keep up with everything I post. Thanks for watching.